Hello, and welcome to Power and Perspective with April and Aaron. I know he's that way today because I was told Cordy's big. Okay, he'll fix that. But that's because we wanted to highlight. We wanted to highlight. We have a guest today. It is Miss Courtney House.
Hello.
I wanted to play like I forgot to ask if we could play like black background claps like. Okay. I did it instead. Yay.
Thank you.
She's famous Instagrammer also.
No.
No, but
You
no.
Stop. Keep going.
And she's also. Oh wait, did you get a message? How come I can't see that? Stop the. Stop the.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4.
Is she frozen? She looks delayed to me. Is that me that's delayed? You there, Courtney?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great.
It's the video. Yeah, video's not important as the audio anyway. Why don't I see? Not important. So we are here today to talk about financial literacy. And before you click off, we're gonna have fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? First of all, because Courtney's here. Second of all, these are important things, guys, and I want to know super what you think about financial literacy. First off, we have to tell you what perspectives are coming at you, right? So I'm older generation, not like old. So I'm like, Aaron's freaking out because he's only a little younger than me. But the point is, Courtney just informed us when she was born. Am I allowed to tell people, Courtney?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was born in 1993. Right?
I feel old.
Shut your face.
I feel old, though. I'm almost 30, so stress.
Okay. In your defense, when I turned 30, I was like freaking out.
Yeah,
40
it's
was not
scary.
a big deal, but 30 was like, what?
But I've heard it's the best year of your life, so I'm looking forward to it, but I'm still like, yikes.
I think it gets better as you get older, truthfully. Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah. So
Good to hear.
my parents, so my ex-mother-in-law and my mother always said their 50s were their best.
Oh.
Yep, and I've heard that several times before, so you have stuff to look forward to.
Wow.
Oh God, I lost us. So Courtney and I worked together at the Golden Knights, because that's how cool we are.
VGK.
I was gonna do like hand signals, like VG. I don't know how that works. Yes, But she also has an Instagram. This is the important part. We'll get serious now. This is the important part. She has an Instagram that educates, I would say, the younger generation, which is probably just the normal generation, educates people, educates people on like financial stuff, like your credit score and like paying off
Yeah.
bills. Like, and that just got me thinking, like, what are we learning in school? What are they teaching us in school? So, Courtney, is there anything that you learned about finances in school?
Not from school. My mom's an accountant. So that's where I got a lot of my knowledge from. But when it comes to education, even I got a business degree. So I took finance, accounting, all those courses. They still don't teach you anything. It's all self taught. So that's why I make the videos I do, because I'm like, if people could just make half the mistakes that I made, they'd be better off. So,
Right? And you even took finance classes, but it wasn't about your
mhm.
personal finance. It was about like a broader finance.
Business finance, because I got my
Wow.
degree in business entrepreneurship. So all about finances with a startup.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah. And
you
still
can
very
tell.
basic. A lot of it was like stocks and bonds, which most people don't use that in a
So, do you know
normal
about
world.
GameStop?
Honestly, that's all a mystery to me. But I did invest $100 on the Robinhood app this week, but I don't know what I'm doing. It's just kind of
Okay.
like $100 of play money. Um, but I didn't invest in any AMC or GameStop. I went a different route.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't even know what it means. Do you know what it means, Aaron? It yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't need to.
Agreed. Oh, that's it? No, where people are like bringing the world down, like rich people are going down because of GameStop. Okay, let's clarify and remember that I get my news via memes on Facebook. Our video looks good if that helps you. Except I'm bright. No? Did we freeze? Or did you stop talking?
No, I'm a little bit special, but we should be good now.
No.
I'm a little.
Show your
I haven't said
face.
anything important anyway. I probably won't for the rest of the episode, but um,
No, you're telling us about stocks and like
yeah.
GameStop.
So to wrap this up as quickly as possible, so rich people have shorted GameStop, and what that means is that they borrow stock to sell, and to cover their positions means that they're buying that stock back theoretically at a lower price to return it to whoever they loaned it from or borrowed it from,
Okay.
right? So that's the position that they're in. So what everybody's doing is everybody's buying it to drive the price way up to take them so far out of their profits that they have to cover those positions at major losses. So normally when you buy stock, you buy
I
it and you want it to go up, and then you want to sell it, and then you keep the extra. What
yeah.
there's an opposite process to that, where you want it to go down so you can make money. So what the people
Okay. So truthfully, I don't know any more now than I did when
Fair
you
enough.
started
Really,
talking.
it's about blood. This whole thing is about. It's not about money. It's about blood. They want to take. I mean, it's funny that Robin Hood is like a controversy in all of this because that's kind of what's going on. Is a big Robin
Oh, I
Hood
love it.
conundrum. Is that they
Okay.
want to crush people out of their positions because it's the accusation is market manipulation. Is that they're doing this on purpose to continue their stream of income.
Okay. The not rich
The
people.
rich people the non-rich people.
Uh,
The people are accusing the rich people
rich
of
people.
manipulating the market. So they're
Gotcha.
all
So they
coming
just
Mhm.
together to just
they were exposing them.
yeah, and trying to get them to take
Okay.
major losses, and it's caused a huge. I mean, the good thing that's going to come out of it is that it's a huge reevaluation of the system, and if there need to be more checks and balances in place, or if there need to be fewer checks and balances in place, and the power of the people in general, that sort of thing.
I think that needs to happen with every system.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you.
This is just the start of it. Like revolution. That's my pitch for it.
Careful. Let's not incite violence because that's a whole.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. What was
Yeah,
that?
there could be some seditious conspiracy in
Treason?
here.
Oh,
Still not treason.
'Cause I'm.
Still not treason.
Oh, still not treason.
not
Damn
treason.
it! I can't get the darn definitions right. Okay. So with regards to finances, I'll tell you. Let's see. I took a business class in high school.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I did. Took a business class. I remember it because I was sat in the upper right corner and I would take the test and they would pass my test. Sorry, teachers. They would pass my test around the whole room and everybody would copy my test because I was good at school. I don't know ish, but I was good at school. I know nothing.
And you could tell she didn't get anything from the business class because she didn't charge for it.
Wait, is that like a prostitute reference?
No.
Wait, I didn't. You said I didn't get anything.
You were
from
providing
it
you were providing a service, but you weren't getting paid for it.
Oh, for free.
Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha. So it's the opposite of prostitute. I should have probably took lessons from prostitutes. Oh, we should have had a prostitute on. I bet they know more about finances than I do. Have we not
That's
talked
true.
about the car I bought, right?
Yeah.
A prostitute would have never bought a car. They would have expected someone to buy a car for them.
Yeah. This is getting complicated. Wow.
So finances. So I think we've established we learned very little in school, right?
It sounds like you more than most if you actually took a business class in high school.
Yeah, I did, but I don't remember it. But so, do you remember math class when they were like, so you're going to the store and the shirt is $20 and it's like 30% off?
Yeah.
You had those lessons, right?
Yeah.
Aaron, you're not responding.
No, I don't know that it doesn't feel like real literacy.
That's
like it's
financial
math. For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, so math is not financial literacy?
You need math to it's adjacent.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay, financial literacy adjacent. Oh, then I learned nothing. I return to my previous established
Well,
point.
I kind of want to know what you learned in this business class.
God, I wish I knew. I remember what the teacher looked like. He was kind of cute. Then he had brown hair.
If anybody's listening, take business class. The teachers are cute.
I don't remember a thing. Not one single thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm really old though, people. Like that was over 20 years ago.
The
Come
pictures
on.
in the books weren't even in color.
They probably weren't. For real.
Oops, truths.
Okay, so are you getting? I can't get messages. Oh, Kevin says he can hear you.
Yeah.
The dating episode was last week. Fine, Steven. Fine. So, what should we be learning?
Is this a
Courtney,
question
what
for
do you
me?
teach? Yeah, what do you teach the peeps when you go on the videos? What do you teach?
Well, I start with where did I go wrong? And then from there, I can teach people how to correct. So the first thing I did when I turned 18 and I moved out, of course, is get a credit card. Because a credit card is free money. So you think. So then this is how I justified it in my mind. I remember this vividly. I was like, this is for emergencies only. Maybe to fill up my gas tank and then just pay back right after from my bank account. And the very first thing when I got my first credit card with a whole $300 limit was to go to the Fashion Show Mall and go to Forever 21. And then I was like, okay, I have a month to pay this back. And then you get your month's bill and it's only $25. And you're like, oh, I can make this back in small installments. And then you don't realize that if you just keep paying the minimum balance after the 1 year of free interest, then you start to incur 26.9 whatever percent interest. And then it adds up even more. So from there, it was just like this cycle of me constantly living credit card bill to credit card bill, essentially, like paying it off to then put more money back onto it. So that's where I started. I'm like, do not get a credit card without educating yourself on how to use it and what actually happens
Do you
on the
know
back
what?
end.
So I went to college, when I went away to college, I went to Oregon State for one term, long story.
Ooh.
But I remember vividly, I remember the credit card people, like advertising, like they had little, we're old,
Oh,
but they
yeah.
had like physical kiosks, like
I
around
still have those
campus.
now.
Oh, really? To like sell you to sell college kids a credit card. I like right when you were
Yeah.
talking about that, that's what popped in my mind.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why.
So.
That's, you know what that reminds me of? You know how they used to put Mr. Camel on cigarettes? Or like the camel to like sell the kids?
Oh, okay. Yes.
It's like not that different. It should be illegal or something.
Yeah. Especially if you don't really know the terms of what you're getting into and then the impact of how it's going to affect your credit score later, your ability to sign a lease, buy a car, buy a home, diversify your credit. So that's something that I'm finally learning now. And I'm not almost 30. I'll be 30 in 2 years, but I feel like I'm so close that I just say almost 30. But still, it's like a process for me to build my credit score back up to a place where I can get approved for things that I want without a cosigner. Because too, when you miss payments, that is a derogatory mark on your report too. And those missed payments add up and that affects your score. And it's just a whole big like vortex, I don't know if that's the correct term, of just like, or a cycle of constantly being stuck.
Yeah.
So,
like, or dependent.
Yeah.
You're like dependent.
Yes.
Yes. On the system. You're dependent on the system. Do you listen to Dave Ramsey?
I don't. My parents love Dave Ramsey. So growing up,
to her parents' age.
I've been told like Dave Ramsey. So I think it's because they've told me so much to listen to him that I'm like, oh no, you're my parents. I don't need your advice. So I'm not going to listen to Dave Ramsey. But I do like what he stands for.
But he talks about how your credit score is just like a score to show you how much debt you're in.
Yeah.
Like, so if I always paid cash for everything, I had plenty of money to, like, I invested, I did all these things, but I never like got a credit card or got a loan, I wouldn't have a credit score.
Yeah.
So like that's what your credit score is showing you, is how much debt you can get in. I think that's like, it's a point of education as well.
Yeah.
Well, and conversations like this are the combatant that we have against selling college kids credit cards, essentially, as opposed to banning them. If everybody needs to be educated anyway, so this is the tool and resource that we have to protect ourselves and the next generations from dealing with that.
Yeah, Aaron's point is always educate versus ban, like, because it is something capitalism and stuff like that or something.
It's on the record.
Yeah. Which would be banning. So if you make a law to ban something, that's government.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I just had to like put all the pieces in my head. Got it. So kids, and I say kids, like kids who are like graduating college, like you said, and moving out, and like yeah, they get this credit card, and then they start to realize things like this starts piling up. Where do you think the turning point is? Like you said, like you had this like realization. Do you think most kids have this realization?
I think it depends. So for me, my realization is I'm 27. I still live at home with my parents. And if I wanted to move out, I would have to have someone co-sign potentially on a lease for me. And that's when I got to this realization of like, I need to start putting more like a seriousness on this because I don't want to be dependent on another person. And I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about previously about being dependent on the government. If anything like showed me, it was the pandemic last year, was all these people found themselves being dependent on the government. And then once the government gets involved, you get more regulations. And I know it's political and I don't want to make it super political, but I'm the type of person where I like freedom over being regulated. So for me, that was just like a big indicator of wanting to work for myself. And that's why I got my degree in business entrepreneurship, because I never really liked working for another person either. And I come from a generational line of entrepreneurs, from my great grandpa owning his own business, my grandpa, my mom. So it just made sense. But I don't know. I just think the turning point was realizing that I wanted to be able to have that freedom and not be dependent on anyone else.
I love that. That legit should be a class, avoid dependency. And that could cover so many things. Not to get back on dating, but dating. And like that could cover so many things. Yes. Like to not be dependent on the government or on your credit score. Like that. Isn't that crazy? Like you have to be dependent. Like for the last almost 10 years, I can't get a house because my debt to income ratio, because I have so many student loans.
Yeah.
And don't get me started on student loans. I don't know how far we're allowed to go into that, Erin, or where it crosses into another topic, but it kind of feels like the same thing. Like Courtney said, like, oh, that's money. It's like free money. It's like money I can spend. Like, here's a student loan. Here's my first master's degree. I owe $34,000, right? So let's say the degree costs like $28,000. But that extra money was to help me live. But I was already living.
Right.
Because I was working. But I'm like, you're going to give me extra money? Sure, I'll take extra money. And now here I am, like really old. And I can't, not that I would want to buy anything because it makes you stuck anyway. But I couldn't if I wanted to. Because I have so much student loan.
That's another thing too. It's like I have student loans as well. And when you go to a college, like a public university, you can pretty much take a Fed loan out for the max, even if you don't need the max. So the amount of MacBooks, trips to Chipotle, car payments, shopping sprees, whatever I use with those extra like $3,000 each semester. In my mind, I never thought I'm going to have to pay this back with interest.
Yeah.
And that's one of the debts you could just never get rid of. You have to pay that back.
You can't even declare bankruptcy. So all you people on Facebook who are all like nastified about like people who like some of the politicians want to forgive student loans, right? And you're like, you're the one who chose that, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Because all those rich people like spend all that money and then they declare bankruptcy, right? And then it's gone. You cannot declare bankruptcy on student loans, people. So they bought cars and shit and can declare bankruptcy, but I can never declare bankruptcy because it's a student federal loan. BTW with a higher interest rate than my car. My student loans have a higher interest rate.
And that sales pitch isn't coming from the likes of credit card companies. It's coming from society as a whole, telling you that you have to go to college. So there's no theoretical alternative to not obtaining those student loans if you don't have the money previously.
Yes. And I don't know if we're allowed to go there, but they not only say, I feel like there's rules. I'm supposed to follow these rules. I'm not. So they say that you have to go to college, right? But also you have to get these loans and get in debt, right? To go to college so that you can get this job. I know we're getting too early into conspiracy theory because it's only 7:25, but like that's how they create a dependent society.
Yeah.
You're then dependent on them. You're required to go to college to get this degree, to get this job, so you can show this piece of paper. And I'm not even going to get started on how shitty college is. College is crap. I learned almost nothing. And you get this piece of paper, and now you owe money to the government, so you have to work at this job. Right?
Yeah.
Do you see this?
Or the fact that the job doesn't even pay enough for you to pay your bills, let alone pay back the student loans that are triple the amount of what you make a year.
Yes. Yes. from the top to the bottom. We're talking from teachers all the way to doctors. So we think, oh, doctors make money out the arse, but look at the student loans they have to pay off.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And we're all dependent on them. Let's blow it up. Underground society right here. Let's start it.
If only such a thing were legal.
I'm going to get pitched for it. What, does it matter? Because we don't care about the laws that they
They have guns.
I do not associate with whatever is being said publicly. You can hit me up privately later, but publicly, I have to go ahead and denounce this. I'm not a part.
That's fair.
Wait, you didn't bring your pitchfork?
Nope, I did not. Weird.
It's under her bed, people. Don't let her fool you. It's under her bed.
Look.
Oh, Lord. So, what do we think they should teach?
Just the basics. It doesn't have to be anything super in-depth, but this is what a FICO score is. This is how you actually build your credit smart. I mean, they have no problem telling you what happens if you drink and drive. They show you like those horrible red asphalt videos and show you the negative effects of that. So they should be showing you also the positive and the negative effects of money in your finances.
Yeah.
And I think too, just how to budget, because for me, even now, I still don't have a comprehensive budget, an Excel sheet. If my mom's watching this, she's probably going to be so sad because she loves her Excel budget sheets. But I don't know, just basic things. But that ties back to, you know, I feel like they don't teach these basic things because then you're dependent.
Yeah.
Or you never really learn for yourself.
Yeah. Like they make you carry a fake baby too. Like I carried a fake baby.
I did not do that, but
That's
I've seen it on TV.
I think
I didn't know it's real.
You're too new. You're too like nowadays they don't have home ec.
Oh
like,
yeah, no.
That was back in home ec child development.
What
days.
do they teach you in home economics then? Like what is the scope of home economics? Just carrying a baby?
It was child development.
Oh, okay.
It was child development. I had a fake baby that I had to take care of and like fake feed it. But why couldn't they give me a fake stock account?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's a
like you want to teach me the dangers of having babies. How about the dangers of going to Forever 21 and blowing your $300?
Right.
there was a school in West Orange, New Jersey. CNBC did a report early last year, and they created a whole class for these kids. This was not government mandated. They decided to do it themselves, and they basically gamified it. So the student who won could earn as much as $1,000. They'd get 20% in cash, and 80% would go into an existing savings account.
That's nice.
And they had part of the competition was even learning or having to lower their energy, gas, and water bills was part of it. So getting into I think this is the most important part is understanding the tools you have available. So learning how to do things like that, learning that you can get your bills lowered, that you can negotiate, that you can have those conversations as part of the holistic learning how to budget and learning about finances in general sort of thing.
Yeah.
I love that. I never even thought of that. That's a great idea. To tell you, because some people are good at that. Like some people just like call places and are like, they just negotiate. Even when we talk about salaries and the money you intake, like the money that comes in.
Right.
As the teacher, we're not trained. We're trained like, oh, thank you for paying me, kind sir. Like, that's how we look at it. But like you look at a salesperson and they like, yeah, that should be taught. That school's genius. Where are they from?
It's West Orange, New Jersey. It's Roosevelt Middle School.
Oh, no. I feel like that area always are on the like cutting
something?
edge.
You talking about New Jersey?
Yeah, because isn't that where from? No.
There's a lot of thoughts running through people's minds right
East
now.
Coast.
Yeah, the East Coast. Like, isn't that where oh, you probably guys don't know. It's Ron something Academy. Where they went into inner city schools. Oh, forget it. I can't see comments.
So I
by
have
the
a
way.
question. Like going in, this will lightly link into your prostitution rant. Like sex education,
Well, good. I
like
wanted to
the
get back
argument
there.
around sex education is that it may be better taught at home, or that it should be a parent's responsibility versus a school's responsibility. With financial responsibility, where do we have that conversation? Is it easier to learn with real life examples like you would get at home? Should we be educating parents on educating kids, or should we be putting it as a matter of fact into formal education?
I personally think the problem lies in, like, with regards the differentiation between sex education and financial literacy is that sex education starts to cross over into religious boundaries,
That's fair.
where I don't feel financial literacy does, which is why I can like when you talk about sex education, I don't feel as conspiracy theory against it as I do financial literacy. Because what do they benefit? If they have kids, the more kids I have, I guess the more dependent I could become on the system. Like, how does it benefit them? I'm just saying, like, not necessarily. It's not like a this for that. Does that make sense?
No, I just mean
Anyway.
as a practical matter, like learning financial literacy from a book as opposed to like seeing how it affects
At
your
home.
family and what everybody goes through in that very real life example, with seeing the consequences without being directly responsible for the consequences. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that perpetuates the conspiracy theory I think could be happening now that my mind is being opened tiny bit, is that like, so if I'm from a poor family that doesn't know how to manage money, and that's where I'm learning my financial literacy from, you're going to perpetuate poverty. You're going to perpetuate dependency on the system, right? If you don't teach it somewhere else.
That's a good point.
Mm.
Start the ball
Thank you.
rolling.
Thank you.
And we can
Can
start it
somebody
in
write that
school.
down? You just said.
Oh, it's recorded for posterity. You're good.
Oh, okay.
I got you.
It's interesting too, because I think even if there's a poor family who's never really learned how to manage their money, those same bad habits, you'll see those in people who are rich. They're constantly buying new cars, buying designer things. And then you hear about all of these millionaires who file for bankruptcy or end up losing all their money because they still don't know how to manage their money.
So what's the
no matter
difference?
the size. I think the difference is, I don't know. For me personally, it's starting off poor and then realizing you're going to stay poor forever unless you get it together.
I think it's looking at the wrong side of the
know.
problem, and I'll probably rant about this on future episodes deeper in. But instead of looking at the make more money, which is what our society does, is pushes everybody to make more money, real people with real wealth are more concerned about where their money's going than where it's coming from.
But they waste, just like Courtney said, though, like they are spend it on superfluous. Like frivolous.
There you go.
I think I was combining
we got all
superficial
three,
and
yeah.
frivolous. They spend it on like those kind of things, but it doesn't affect them as much because they have more of it.
Well, and to Courtney's point, that a lot of them are declaring bankruptcy because they overspend, because they're focused so much on where the money's coming from and not where the money's going, that people with real wealth focus more on, just like you see, like you talk about rich people that are cheap, those kind of behaviors are how you stay rich. It's very easy to get rich and not stay rich.
Like The Millionaire Next Door. Have you read that book?
Negative.
From a long time. That's like a book from the 80s or something, 90s maybe. When you were both little tiny children. Steven, I know the dating episode was last week. Is that because I'm talking about rich guys? Is that why you said that?
Possibly. I think the comments may be delayed. I don't know. It's kind of confusing.
Any sugar daddy out there?
Mm-mm.
Oh, no, that didn't work? Or you don't want one?
I love the idea of people talk about dating a little bit and then almost past it. Going up to a date, because I know you guys talked about this, who pays? But I personally, even if the other person's going to pay for me, I want to make sure going into it that I have enough money that I could pay for myself. And I think that kind of goes back to marriage and starting a family. You have to make sure that you're not dependent on the other party to take care of you. I've seen with my parents at times where my mom was working, my dad was going to school. My dad was working, my mom was raising my brother and sister at home. So I get that, but it's the sense of making sure that you do have a backup plan in case something happens. And that's what my parents always taught me was, if you get married, your husband passes away, how are you going to take care of your kids if you don't have a plan? So that's the importance of like savings and having a career path. So that's
Courtney
a whole
is so good. Did you see how she was like dating, finance? Yeah, that was good.
It all goes back to finance.
And dependency. Well, it all goes back to like dependency seems to be a theme, like you to be financially independent.
Exactly. And that's what they should be teaching.
Yeah. Yes, is how not to be dependent. My mom always said, my mom and my aunt are watching, so they'll tell me, like, you need to hide money away. Like, even when you're married, even if you're happily married, you hide a little bit away. I don't know if I can condone this, so I don't want to put this out there that I'm actually condoning it, but that's what it was. It was like, put a little bit of money away so that you are secure and you're not dependent.
Yeah.
And you have a backup plan.
This is the
Look at
least
all those
romantic
kids who want
episode
to be, like,
ever.
Football players.
So take all your husband's money and just cut open a little square in your mattress. So if something happens, you have his riches and he's left with nothing, but you survive.
Done. We're done. We just wrote the whole curriculum for financial literacy right there.
Or vice versa. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my gosh. I think I pulled my neck when I went back like that. I'm so old. God.
Oh, sure.
So, I think about, okay, just like Aaron said, so that school was like teaching the stocks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And is that where we think financial literacy could go? And what if they did? Like, what if, okay, picture this. Every graduating senior had a thorough understanding, or as much was offered to them. Because we know that not every kid you try to teach learns. So I understand that. So every kid who was willing to learn and not a butthead, like, learned about the stock market and knew and understood all that. Do you think our world would be different?
No.
Because no?
It's a choice. So it's all about you implementing it. And so you can teach someone something as much as possible, but if they don't follow through with it, then, and there's always going to be those people who just can't manage their money.
Yeah.
And I think that's what creates the society we have. Is there's always going to be certain people like that.
I always say, though, awareness leads to education. Like, I can't be educated about it if I'm not even aware of it.
Yeah.
Like, when they talk about GameStop and, like, the stocks and some rich, like, I don't even get it. Like, it doesn't even fall into my realm of understanding anything. But if I had had a, like, stock market 101 class or something in school, I would at least understand what was being said.
Well, what they
could
teach then is teaching the idea of investing and how it affects your money and your financial space, because the stock market's really just a tool in this. Because if you buy a house, that's an investment as well. Even if you pay somebody else to manage, like a 401k, for instance, is the same thing. But you don't have to know anything to have a 401k. But understanding what a 401k is would help you utilize it more effectively, if that makes sense. The stock market as a whole is, I mean, as we've seen, potentially volatile and can just as easily lose people money. That the idea is investing and then them coming to the stock market as a means to further that plan in their life.
Yes, but if also I was just thinking as you were talking, if I'm dependent on the stock market, literally that's the government, right?
No.
Oh, the stock. Oh, see, I know nothing.
In the most theoretical sense, in a very theoretical sense, it's the free market, which is, but it's, I mean, it's not. It's not. But theoretically, it's you're engaging in
So
you're
it's the
engaging in
government.
business. So you're supporting
I need people to comment.
businesses.
Is this the government? Okay, which are the government? Big business is
Well,
the government.
that's you're taking it a step to conspiracy. I'm talking about from a theoretical perspective.
Oh,
Like if you were to,
okay.
if your friend
Okay,
said,
okay.
"Hey, I want to start a business," and you said, "All right, I'm in. Here's $1,000," and they said, "Okay, well, we'll pay you 1% of our profits." That's kind of what we're talking about.
That's the stock.
Theoretic, in a very
Okay.
theoretical, idealistic sense.
Gotcha. Yes, I get that. Okay, I think that should be taught. I think it would change things. It may not change the world, and it probably wouldn't change what certain people do with their money, because that's ingrained. We can get a 741. We can get deep now. Let's get deep. We conspiracy, like they don't. Again, the poor. I do think that's legitimately the goal. Is to keep the poor poor. That's the question. Anybody?
I don't think it's the goal. I think it definitely helps. You know, I don't think it's the ultimate goal of them saying like, oh, this is our master plan. But I think when you look at economically, it's going to make more sense. So are we into the conspiracy theories
Yes,
now?
we're officially
Okay,
there.
woo, we made it. And mine's not to get too political or too like racial, but as a person of color, I've been doing more research on these minority communities. And it's not just the Black community, there's so many more minorities, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, Asian. And so predominantly these countries just culturally are in these areas that are lacking knowledge and a lot of the resources. So I don't think it's specifically targeted towards these races, but I think it's definitely targeted towards these areas, you know, the poor urban areas. And so that being said, I think it's kind of just, that's the plan, you know. I don't know if it makes sense, but it's just like, we're not going to teach these things because if we were to have a shift in the amount of people knowing and learning, things would be so much different. And then the whole economical scale would change.
That's what
So.
I would have never said this before because I'm from, obviously my background is in education, and I've been known to be like an idealist and like rainbows and fairies and shit. But I would have like never thought it was purposeful. I would always say it's just like a habit. So like we have these communities that are under-resourced 100%. Not only under-resourced in what's being provided to them, but their generational background, which is it's habitual, like it's a cycle. Like, and it's hard to break a cycle. And so the education system, I would have thought in the past, kind of just gives up and provides the basic services. Okay, like, look at us, we're heroes. We're going to give you lunches. Free lunch for you. Yay. Which is super great, except for that sustains. Like, yeah, that sustains.
Right.
So my theory in the past would be like, they're just doing what they think is the best they can, and that the community only wants that. They're only giving what the community wants. But now I wonder if it's to keep people down, like to keep a dependent society, not to keep necessarily like I'm going to keep that community down, but just to keep a dependent society. What do you think, Aaron? You have bigger brains than me. I need to know.
Well, I mean, I've been liberty oriented in my life for quite some time. So I personally think that it's all and it's all orchestrated through the political system. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories past that because I don't necessarily believe in conspiracy theories in general. But it's and we haven't had our war on poverty episode, which is something we have to do. But it
Yes.
absolutely is. It's impossible to, like, when you look at financial education, to say that maybe they felt like they didn't need it, so it didn't happen, whatever, blah blah blah. But it's so completely widespread. It's not like there's 10% of schools that don't teach financial literacy, and now we have this problem. We're talking about massive, widespread lacking of education in this area. And
That's
it's hard
true.
to see things like that for me and go to a place where it's incidental.
You're
In
right.
a environment where we're so ready to create more reasons to give money to the government, that they should almost encourage it. They should be encouraging all of this. They should want the economy to prosper. They should not want poverty. But this is not about money. And TC chimed in and said, yes, Courtney, keep everyone down so they have more control. And I agree with that, that they have, that it's all about control. And the way that the political parties are run, if you look at it from like a high up uh, perspective, is that that's what they're trying to do, is to narrow the boundaries so that there are fewer people within this control spectrum and then everybody else.
That makes sense. That makes me think of like, because I always wonder why college costs so much, right? And like, and I would think, why would you not want? Because I look at other countries that are where college is free. Why would you not want an educated society? Why would you charge so much? Why would you make the people who become educated in like I was gonna say indentured, which may be inappropriate, but like why why would you want that? But just like you said, it's because it's about control. But it's also about it's like it's so big yet so little. Like it's because the colleges and the universities aren't about education, right? They're about I don't know, they're about money.
Money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm going to
It's
say this, and it's not to put myself down, but if I could graduate college, I'm telling you, anyone can. It took me 8 years, three majors, and even my last year, I want to say, when I was taking like 6 classes a semester and just ready to be done, I still wasn't putting in the full work that I should have been doing. I was just skating through because jobs don't look at your GPA. They just
yeah.
see, do you have a degree? Woo, you're good to go. So I'd be hanging out with my friends doing minimal studying. And it's because they weren't even really teaching things that I felt were practical still to my degree. Even the courses that were business entrepreneurship courses, I didn't feel like were tailored to what people who do startups actually use.
Yeah.
So,
No,
and it was
totally.
more just for money.
Yeah. I when my bachelor's degree is in elementary education, which seems like a fairly straightforward thing to teach. I learned almost nothing, like nothing. Like I always said,
Yeah.
oh, please don't be offended, people out there. Take this for like the grain of salt I'm saying it, but a monkey could get this degree. Like in okay, let me be more specific. In the West, I know back east, teaching universities are a lot more like sought after and it's like hardcore. But seriously, people, the degree I got, Courtney, it took me 7 years, 176 credits I graduated with, changed my major 7 times officially, 7 official times. Most of those were science majors. And then I was like, oh, I should probably have a family, so maybe I'll go into education. All of a sudden I was on the dean's list and like
Right.
these are the
And think
people to
about those classes, like your first 2 years, your freshman and sophomore, the prereqs, where you have to take like dance or like
yeah.
theater or drawing 102. And it's like, why am I taking drawing 102 when I want to be a pre-med?
Yeah.
You know,
I took an art
there's no
class.
correlation. 50% of the school loans I have are for like history of rock and roll
Yeah.
and like classes that I was Googling Quizlet answers to get 100%.
Yes.
They're just a joke,
Yes.
you know.
And now you have to take multicultural classes too. That's a good point. Like they act like is that really making people more their eye? Is it really opening people? Is it really like anti-racist to have people take a multicultural class? No.
Yeah. Well,
But it just
especially
makes
when you can just take it online,
yeah.
Google the answers, and you're not
Yes.
even retaining the information.
Yeah,
So-
or applying it to your life.
And I think
Yeah.
one thing we have to do that's also important is that as a society we kind of condemn, and Stephen beat me to it here, trade school versus college, is that we as a society almost condemn the trades. That those conversations that happen, and we see it in media, been seeing it in shows forever. You go to college, you go to college, you go to college. They're not talking about getting an apprenticeship, learning a skill, and going through that entire system that exists for promoting those trades and having real income for the people that even can't get through college.
And not
Right.
even can't get through college, choose not
Yeah,
to.
I fall somewhere in between, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that was more of a choice. You have the ability to, but look at the trades that I mean, I haven't been through trade school, so I can't totally like speak to this, but I imagine that in a trade school you learn your freaking trade. Like you get out of it and you have a skill, a literal practical skill. And now look at nowadays, those are the essential workers. Like you learned a trade that
And
helps
it's happened
society,
for
like an actual
millions of
trade.
years. It's been under the same program where you have a journeyman teaching someone. They take on apprentices and they teach them the trade, and
Yeah.
not even like formally organized.
Like
Yeah,
blacksmiths. I don't know why I went straight to blacksmith. I just think I should be a blacksmith.
from a medieval perspective, I think it's an easy one to go to. It's where my mind goes to. Yeah.
Oh, does it? Okay. Okay.
I mean, when you said that, I just thought of Pirates of the Caribbean, but that's just Orlando
Yes.
Bloom, personally.
I mean, that's fair. Like, we can just stop all of education and watch Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, I wouldn't complain. I feel like I would learn as much. Just take my money.
Well, and looping back to, and I'm gonna try to keep this as least in depth as I
Very
can.
good at this. He's
So
he like tries to it's like wrangling squirrels into a bag. Like
Just bringing it back.
that's his job. Like squirrels, get in the bag. Get in the
So
bag. Okay, go ahead.
the idea of occupational licensing, where you have to have a license to do work, right? And this goes back to the war on poverty thing a little bit. So like if you want to do nails for a living, right? You have to get
Yeah.
licensed. You have to get I'm losing the word. Starts with an AE. Yeah.
Esthetician?
And to
Esthetician.
get that, you have to go through whatever 150 hours or whatever of classes, where 2% of that will be relevant to what you're actually going to be doing.
Yes.
And the rest
I'm glad
and the
you said
rest
that.
of
I
it
thought you were-
and the rest of it is completely worthless. So it's all
Yeah.
levels of the system where we're being taught things that somebody, the government, decided that we need, that is completely irrelevant. It does nothing but to hinder business and trade and to hinder people from having a side hustle and actually being able to engage in the American dream, pulling themselves by their bootstraps and all that nonsense.
But you can think too. Like I get it. I get why people would think like a certification is important. Like if you're about to like get a ball in my toenails, I want to make sure I'm not going to get like a fungal infection and you know what you're doing. Like so I get why it was started. A lot of things I get why it was started, but I don't feel like it's evolving the way it should evolve.
Well, they were started by the communities, so doctors have an incentive to be better at their job and to keep bad doctors out, right? So you create standards for this, and as soon as you have a situation where the government's taking over that, you lose that. There's a bigger gap between incentive and the people actually regulating.
So it's where other doctors would regulate versus the
Yeah.
government regulating. Okay.
And I was just actually watching a speech by Milton Friedman, one of my heroes, economist, talking about the people who are lobbying for regulation. And you'd think it would be the people, it would be the consumers who would lobby for regulation because we want protection in those instances. When what you're seeing is it's the big business or the people who want to maintain control of those industries lobbying for regulation. Totally off topic. Just yeah.
No, but that's legit.
So in a lot of senses,
Oh my
it
God,
doesn't.
so many comments I
It
can't
doesn't.
keep up.
It doesn't come back down to us to benefit all of us.
Yeah, because it's all government and control. All the tentacles of people making money off what you
Yep.
do for a living. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point too, Tease. Like, not only do you have to get the certification, you have to pay for the certification, you have to pay for the classes, right? And then those people make money. Yeah.
And selling homes, there are so many
I
people
can't.
that make money off me, so I can have a license. Yeah.
Why am I so Facebook dumb, guys? Like I only see the last 8 comments.
Oh,
And there's no way for me to see comments before. I see Milton Freeman now.
yeah. Kevin knows what's up. I think he knows Milton Friedman's.
Oh, who's Milton
Milton
Freeman?
Friedman's the economist I just referenced when you were first
Google it,
dating me
peeps.
and half listening to everything I was saying.
I was not dating.
No, never mind. It was.
That was not happening. So I think we've ended like exactly where we end everything is the government is trying to control everything and we should go underground. No? That's not where
You
we
need to
end.
be low key about this.
Oh, shit.
That's where we're gonna work on it with you. Is we're not gonna put the plans out there.
We'll meet at the water cooler.
My Parlor account got shut down. I got nothing.
Bring your pitchfork.
No, I mean, and ultimately, just like where we started, it's all, and it just was so many things. It's all about education, and with this topic in particular, even when you talk about all of the barriers that you have, it's just like Dave Ramsey says, live like no one else, so you can live like no one else. Understand what you're spending and the life that you live and what it will lead to in the future. No matter what barriers government puts in place, take control of what's there and what you have to make sure that you maintain that throughout your life.
Yeah. And I think this goes to the fact that know that you have the power to do that. Because I feel like
Right.
a lot of going through school and in whatever communities you grow up in, especially if you grow up in a community of poverty, you feel like that power isn't yours to
Yeah.
begin with. So even if we don't teach financial literacy, that's where social emotional learning comes in. Personal plug. Then like you have the power to take control of those things. And so even if we educate about financial literacy, if we don't give people the knowledge of that self-power, they won't use it. They won't do it. So like you can do it. Like you can do anything. You can be big. The government is separate from you. The government is separate from, I'm going to get airy-fairy on you, but like universal law. Like the universe is what's real. The government is human construct, and you are bigger than that.
That was good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank
We
you.
loved it. We loved it.
Thank you. I like to get preachy in the end.
Well, Courtney, thanks for hanging out. We
Like the
appreciate you
bow.
being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I can't. It
Yeah.
went by so fast.
Right? You
I could
start
just
the
talk for
podcast,
hours.
right? You start the podcast and you're like, "Oh my God, how are we going to talk about financial literacy for a freaking hour?" And then you're like, "Whoa, it's been an hour."
Drop in the bucket. We could go
On
for
and
hours.
on.
Yeah.
We have many squirrels. There are so many squirrels we could have put in the bag. So he keeps saying, "Go to Facebook Trade School." Can you please play the startup music in the background during
I
the
hope that
whole
doesn't
show?
mean that it's actually playing. I don't think it is. I don't know if he's
No,
throwing shade.
he's-
Yeah, trolleys.
I think he's throwing shade. He's throwing shade. Pretty sure. See, you're right though. I do need Facebook Trade School because I don't understand why I keep things keep getting all mixed up. I don't excellent book. What book?
He's talking about Milton Friedman's Free to Choose. So you definitely
Oh.
are not seeing
Oh,
him.
that's
Yeah.
why he wrote.
It's a squirrel. Very
It's all
disjointed.
wonky.
We'll get you back. We'll
Okay.
get you back on Restream next week, so everything will be as I see it here.
So I'm not all
Yeah.
confused.
And speaking of which, thanks everybody for hanging out and participating. Like, comment, subscribe. Please share to your friends. Let them know what we're trying to do here. Let's get some more perspectives in. We'd love to hear what anybody has to say.
Yeah.
And I think next week we might be doing changing of career paths in life.
Oh yeah, that's
And we'll
right.
have
yeah.
we'll have a guest on for that as well. So
We'd
stay
love
tuned. I need to confirm with the guests, so the topic may change, but tentatively we're talking about career changes in life.
But our audience is very flowy.
Yeah, they're still here with us, and I love it, and I appreciate it so much.
We love you. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank